Hello everyone, welcome back to another video where we are going to understand the art of checkmate. Alright, so you all know that checkmate is that event in chess where the game ends and the person who checkmates the opponent wins the game. Now, what is a checkmate? Well, it's simply a check to the king that you give. You're threatening to take the king on the next move, but the king has nowhere to go. Alright, so on the screen over here, you have a random position, right? So white takes the bishop, and now you have to find a way to checkmate the king in one move, right? So you're gonna give a check to the king, that is, you're threatening to take the king on the next move, and at the same time, the king has nowhere to go, right? So whenever you are given a check or you give a check to your opponent, if he has a way to capture the piece giving the check, right? For instance, in this position, if I do this, right? So if I take this square, if I take possession of this square as a queen, I'm giving a check to the king because you all know I'm threatening to take the king on the next move as the king is in front of me. Now the king has two options. I mean, white has two options. What are they? The first option is to capture this queen. Now, is there any way that you can capture this queen? Can this knight capture the queen? No, it can't. Can this queen do that? No. Can this rook? Can this pawn? No, nobody except the king can capture this queen. But if the king captures this queen, then the bishop will capture the king. That is, it's not possible. So when nothing is possible and you're giving a check, that is a checkmate. All right, so that's checkmate. Right. So let's look at another one. Right, so this is like a puzzle kind of a thing for you all. So let me know now, how do we give a check to the king and also mate him, right? So the best way to do that, now you'll start building up here, is that you see this rook here, and if this rook ends up there, it's giving a check to the king. Now the question is, will the king be able to move anywhere after the rook? So the rook takes control of this entire file, so the king has only one option, and that is to go down to this square. But we have the knight guarding the square, so this is a checkmate because now the king has nowhere to go. It can't go over here because the rook will take, and it can't go down because the knight will take. Now the thing is, knight is not actually going to take the king. It is not possible for the king to move. Alright? In chess, you don't allow the king to die. You just bring, the king into a surrendering position where it has nowhere to go. Alright, over here in this position, now let us try to find the check first. How do we get the check in over here? Can this knight give a check to the king? No, it can't. Alright, so can any other piece give? Oh, look at the queen here. So the queen can give a check in three ways. If I land up on this square, I can still give a check because I'm threatening to take the king. But the problem with that is that there is this pawn guarding the square. Alright, I can give a check by entering completely down there. I mean up there, sorry. But the problem is that the knight, the rook, all of them are looking at this square on g8. What do we do then? Well, we just checkmate the opponent. How do we do that? By entering into a square where no one is protecting anything, so that nobody captures the queen. The king has nowhere to go. Because even in this case, even when I came here, right? When I came here, the king has one square to go, and if I go up there, king has nowhere to go. But there is a way to capture the queen and stop the check, right? But in this case, when I moved for checkmate, there is no place for the king to go. Okay, guys, let's do a couple more and try to understand how do we give a check. Now, first option, okay? So this is like a puzzle for you, right? So you all know that there is mate in one. What you have to do right now as a beginner is try to find the checks first. Whenever you play a game and if you see an opportunity to check the king and that your piece is not in danger, and if it makes sense, obviously, if there's no reason for you to give a check, then don't. That happens in some cases. Sometimes you just have to improve your position and create a mating attack. And mating attack is nothing but a checkmating attack, right? So in this position, I see the queen giving a check by entering to c8, but the rook or the bishop both can capture the queen. But what if I sneak in through this diagonal. Since a queen is acting like a bishop and a rook, can the queen go to h8 and give a check? The answer to that is yes. But what happens after that? Can the king move anywhere? The answer to that is no, because this bishop here limits the king from escaping. So this happens to be a maiden one. So I hope you guys are getting a hang of it, right? So let's do five more, and then I guess you guys will be clear. And in the end, I will give you one more puzzle for you all to solve. Let me know in the comment section what the answer to that is. This is a typical position, guys, which you will come across. I'm going to go to the analysis board and show you one, you know, typical way of checkmating your opponent in the starting few moves. You'll see that in the shorts, which I will upload. So you can see that. Now in this position, the first thing that you'll see is you can take this rook, but the queen guards this rook, so don't do that. Now let's look for checks, because we all know this is a puzzle. It's mate in one. Now to mate someone, you have to check them, right? To checkmate someone, you have to check them. Now, how do you check the king here? The first option for you is to just check it from here. But the problem with that is either the king escapes, it has a square to escape, and the other thing is that this pawn protects the square, so don't do something stupid there. Another thing is that we can move further another square and basically uh, capture this pawn. And then the king has absolutely nowhere to go. So this is just a checkmate. This is a typical scholar's mate kind of a setup, which I will show you later. Okay, fine. Bishop takes g3. Now, what is mate in one here, guys? So see, simple. We just have to give a check. And the only piece that can actually give a check in this position is a rook. For all those of you who are wondering, can the king capture a king? The answer to that is no. Okay. The reason being simple, you just can't. If I click on the king, it gives me options of going downwards, but not upwards. I cannot be one square beside another king. That is a rule, right? So only the rook can give a check. Now, how can a rook give a check? This is the only move, and that is right. Because after this check, the king cannot go down because of this king. So the king limits the squares of the other king so as to deliver the checkmate. All right. Three more. What do you guys say? Three more. Now, again, in this position, you just have to find the check, right? So over here, this is one check, and I don't see any other checks. Let's try it out. Oh, that is checkmate. Now, how is that? The king can go to any of these two squares, right? The answer to that is no, because all of you see that there is a knight guarding these squares. So the king has absolutely nowhere to escape, and there is no piece there on the board that can capture the rook so as to prevent checkmate. Alright, so let us go to the next puzzle. Come on, guys. This is a very simple one. You must have seen this. You just bring the rook up to d8 to finish off d1, sorry, to finish off the game in style. Because over here, it's simple. This is the only check that you see in the position, and there is no way the king can escape from here, right? So let's do another two. Alright, two more. Hmm. How do we checkmate? Do we take? This is also a check. Do we take? That's the question. The answer to that is no, you don't have to, because now these rooks lined up over here on one file. That's a good thing to do, guys. Lining up your rooks. We're going to look at all of this later, but lining up your rooks, starting an attack is something that you should definitely do. And if you give a check here, there's absolutely nowhere the king can escape, right? You obviously have this, but you do, lose a bishop this way, so don't do that. All right. This is the last puzzle that we're going to understand. Okay, let us say this is just a normal position that you have reached and you have no clue what to do. Any position that you are in, you have to look for checks, you have to look for captures, or you have to look for moves that improve your position, that develop your pieces, right? Now, in this position, we have one check, and that is the only check that will help you checkmate your opponent. So now you have absolutely nowhere to go as white, and that is the way you checkmate people. So let me click on the next one, and I want you all to write down in the comment section as to what should be done as black so as to checkmate white in one move. All right. So I hope all of you have a good idea about checkmate now. It's just simple. It's just a position where the opponent's king has nowhere to go and it is in check. Now, for all of you who are asking, what is a draw? All right. That is when the king has nowhere to go. Okay, it's the same thing as checkmate, but the thing here is that the king is not in check. So let me show you a position of how a draw is going to happen. All right. Okay. So let me give you an example of a draw. Okay. Set up position. All right. Let's just clear the board now. Let's clear the board and let's take two kings here. By the way, if there are only two kings left in the position, you can see there's 0.0 here. It's a draw. All right. If there is one bishop, what about that? It is still a draw. What if there are two bishops? Still a draw. What if there's a knight and a bishop? Generally a draw. There is a way, because if the king is somewhere back there and your king is here, and then you're just playing around here. Let's say this bishop is not there, then yeah, you can see there's a mating attack there. All right. So yeah, if the knight is not there, it's a draw. Simple draw, right? Now another thing that you have to keep in mind. Let us say I have a queen and I am trying to, you know, basically just checkmate the king. But what happens is that, let's play from here. Yeah, let's play from here. Let us say I move my king, he moves his king. I move my king, he moves his king. I move my king, he moves his king. Then I bring my queen, he moves here. Then I go back, he comes here. And then, and only then, I play this, thinking I'm going to checkmate here. But you can see there's the 1 by 2 thing here. What is that? That's a draw. Because here, the king has nowhere to go and I'm not giving a check to the king. Right? So if you're not giving a check to the king and the king has nowhere to go, it's a draw. Though white was completely winning here, but it lost. Now, in this position, if instead of going there, if I just go here, let's checkmate because the king has nowhere to go. These three squares are taken away by one king because the king cannot be next to the king. Now, for all those of you who are asking, you'll have a lot of doubts regarding this. King, why is it not allowed to go near this? It's just the rules. But if you see in games, sometimes both the kings are placed on either dark squares or light squares. It's because the players signify who won, right? So that's how you do it. After your game is done on an offline, if you're going for a tournament or something, once the game is done, all you have to do is put the kings on the light squares or dark squares or the opposite colored squares, depending on whether white won, black won, or it was a draw. So if it was a draw, one king here and another king here. If white wins, kings on the light squares. If black wins, kings on the dark squares. That's how things go. But apart from that, you won't see the king being next to each other, and that's how things are, right? So I hope you all are now getting accustomed to the rules and the ways of chess. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you all in the next video with some more helpful content for you all to master chess as a beginner. See you all in the next video.